One legend stands amongst the countless others, told among dozens of races with little variation, known as Kirsana the Unfaithful to elves, and to orcs as Griga Townor. The fable of the creature most commonly called Green Mary terrorizes the dreams of countless children, regardless of race. In a time long ago, Green Mary lived as a protector of the woodlands and its creatures, a beautiful druid with a forest domain encompassing hundreds of miles, making her home at her forest heart, protected and served by the creatures that she in turn watched over. Green Mary worshipped and obeyed the spirits of nature and their timeless laws. On the day the winds whispered of danger and the crows squawked of death, she investigated the reports. Her search led her to a powerful and skilled hunter who stalked her animal wards and felled the trees to make his weapons. Although the voices of the forest cried out for revenge against this careless hunter, Green Mary found him as comely as he was dangerous. Moved to speak with him, she became entranced by his silken words, and he compelled by her beauty. That night, Green Mary defied the timeless whispers of the forest and lay with the source of their wrath. The next morning, the hunter awoke to find his lover horrifically transformed. The forest had reclaimed its servant's willful body, changing her milky skin into gnarled bark, her raven hair into vines, and her soft hands into twisted claws. Realizing the extent of her sin, Green Mary obeyed her spirit's master's orders with a fearful and repentant fervor. When it was done, not even a drop of the hunter's blood remained to stain the verdant ground. Yet, nature knows no mercy, and despite Green Mary's atonement, her form did not return to its one-time alluring shape. Disgusted by her actions and new form, she fled the beautiful groves and glens through which she once danced, and took up residence among the rotting vines and festering pools of her forest's most putrid swamp. Thus rose the first green hag, a creature of nature enslaved to passion but fated to destroy all after which she lusts. To start, let's go over to the monster manual and see what we're actually told about these creatures. It says, the wretched and hateful green hags dwell in dying forests, lonely swamps, and misty moors, making their homes in caves. Green hags love to manipulate other creatures into doing their bidding, masking their intentions behind layers of deception. They lure victims to them by mimicking voices and calling out for help, or drive unwanted visitors away by imitating the cries of fierce beasts. Now here it says they have an obsession with tragedy. Green hags revel in the failings and tragedies of other creatures. They derive joy from bringing people low and seeing hope turned into despair, not just for individuals, but also for whole nations. Now, to accomplish all of these things, green hags have three particularly strong powers, as we can see here in the stat block. They can hide via potent illusion magic, they can mimic voices, and they can turn invisible and disappear. But that's it. That's the entry for green hags in the monster manual for 5th edition. Sadly, green hags are very much underrepresented in Dungeons & Dragons. There really isn't a lot of lore about them, not even on the previous editions. This comes in high contrast when compared to the night hags, who not just have tons of lore written about them, but they also are overflowing with abilities and flavor. Green hags, on the other hand, seem awfully basic. See, night hags and green hags do completely different things and for completely different reasons, and that's mainly what this video is going to be about. Let me tell you what the monster manual does not tell you about green hags. There are three main things about the green hag. Three things that are crucial to the behavior of the hag that the monster manual omitted. And these three things might actually completely change your perspective on this particular creature. The first thing is that green hags are actually the least xenophobic hag type of all. See, the notion of a hag is typically of a witch that stays completely segregated from society, an individual who only deals with others when it has to, but that is not at all how a green hag behaves. The second thing is that green hags don't feel particularly compelled to always be living in the marshes or forests. In fact, you will actually see many of them living in fully urban areas. Many of them keep multiple layers for this very reason. They have their swampy lair out in the forest and their home in the village. And the third thing is the fact that out of all of the hags in the monster manual, the green hag is the hag most compelled to do evil. The entire life of the Green Hag is spent concocting plots and formulating tricks in order to make people unhappy or to make someone miserable. Nothing else matters to them. Every single moment of this creature's existence will always be spent figuring out ways to bring down order and peace and turn it into chaos and misery. These three things are crucial personality traits that the Monster Manual didn't mention, and they are crucial because when you combine the three, you actually get a very interesting package. See, when you combine the three, this is what you get. Quote, "Frequently, Green Hags disguise themselves and walk among the very races they terrorize, spreading rumors of wise women or beautiful fae who live in the nearby wilderness. They eagerly make themselves into local legends. Such rumors often lead the foolish and desperate to seek the source of the tales, only to fall into the Green Hag's clutches. With thoughts of feeding and reproduction aside, Green Hags ultimately seek the corruption and downfall of all that is civil and pure. Intelligent and cunning in the extreme, Green Hags seduce and beguile their way into positions of power, installing themselves as consorts of community leaders or even false goddesses to tribes of savage humanoids, daring those under their influence to more and more profane and degenerate acts. The greatest plots of Green Hags seek to recreate civilization into the brutal decaying morasses they naturally favor." End quote. That is what makes the Green Hag interesting when compared to any other type of hag. This is their unique flavor. Green Hags infiltrate, they trick, they spy, and then they destroy from the inside. Green Hags are not really strong, not when compared to many of the monsters out there, certainly not when compared to the Night Hag, who has tons of special abilities and they knack for spellcasting. Green Hags don't even really cast spells. The ones that they do cast are mostly simple illusory tricks. Green Hags are the type of monster who uses poisons in order to kill, the type of monster who concocts foul but natural brews, the type of monster who knows to be careful, unlike, once again, the Night Hag who uses powerful magic for everything that she does. Because Green Hags lack the raw power of other types of hags, they instead use their cunning to succeed. But what makes them even more interesting is that they actually hate using simple ploys. For a Green Hag, the more grandiose, the more complex, the more time-consuming, and the more elaborate the scheme, the better. Simply sneaking and backstabbing some dude on the street is not gonna cut it for the Green Hag. Instead, they're gonna snatch your favorite dog and kill it. Then they will use their mimicry skill to replicate the voice of the dog. Then they will trick you by using the voice of the dog in order to lure you into the swamp. And then, once you realize that you were tricked, once your hope turns into despair, then they will kill you. Green Hags don't care about souls. They don't care about some kind of grand cosmic war between law and chaos. All they care about, all they ever think about, is corrupting people and see them fail. The very fact that a village is thriving angers the Green Hag. Seeing a joyful couple angers a Green Hag. And all she ever does is to find ways to make those things not be those things. The thing to understand about Green Hags is that this drive to do evil, it's so potent that she will survive anything as long as it means her plot will succeed in the end. A Green Hag would even go so far as to use her illusory power to appear as a beautiful woman, romance you for weeks, give you the best weeks of your life, if it meant that the payoff at the end when she finally betrays you will be all the more sweeter. Now, of course, being hags, they also possess supernatural strength and great agility, as all hags do. In fact, the lore states that all of them are as strong as ogres. This, combined with their green skin, allows them to hide and fight really well in vegetation, which they prefer. This helps compensate somewhat with their lack of offensive magical powers. Green Hags can also live for a very, very long time. A typical Green Hag can live for up to 1,000 years, which is a lot when compared to the Sea Hag, who generally lives to about 800, and an Anis Hag who can only live for up to 500. Night Hags, however, once again, blow everyone out of the water. They actually live for so long that we don't really even have a number for that. All we know is that they can actually outlive many dragons. Now, to finish up the video, I do want to talk about the Green Hags ace in the hole, the one really powerful ability that they possess that the monster manual didn't tell you. See, this is the one that would catch you completely by surprise, until it is far too late. When a hag kills you, she doesn't use a knife. Knives are too quick. You can't savor all the little emotions. A hag yearns to see your face once you realize who she really is. That moment of realization is what the hag has been waiting for all this time, and if she were to just stab you, well, it would be gone too quick. See, hags have a strength-sapping ability. They can actually sap the strength of anyone they touch. All they have to do is grab you and your muscles will weaken. Your energy will evaporate. Quote, aside from their ability to see in total darkness, resist magic, and perform a wide range of deceitful and misleading magic, a green hag's most deadly weapon is her slightest touch. With a mere brush of her misshapen claw, a green hag might sap the strength from even the strongest warrior. Although some might resist, few can hope to overpower a green hag's already formidable strength with their own leeched away. Frequently using this ability to their advantage, green hags favor draining an enemy's strength until he's totally unable to move, then either drowning him in their boggy homes or dragging him back to their lairs, usually for some unspeakable magical, or even worse, amorous purpose. End quote. See, that's the other thing. Night hags reproduce because they want either more slaves or they want daughters to form covens with. Green hags, on the other hand, feel a tremendous desire to do so. Every once in a while, they will get this intense craving to reproduce, and many times over, well, they force men with their strength-sapping abilities. Now, reproduction is particularly interesting with green hags because the lore was actually changed from 1st edition to 2nd edition, something that doesn't really happen very often. For the most part, what the monster manual says about hag reproduction is on point. Hags, including green hags, like to switch babies with normal humans just the way the monster manual says. However, in 1st edition, it was actually very different. Back then, they had it set up so that there was really only one type of hag, which was the night hag, and all the other types of hags were essentially just variations of the night hag. They had written that when a night hag would have sex with a human and gotten pregnant, the baby would be a green hag. That's because the baby hag would only have 50% of the night hag's blood, and that's why the green hag just wasn't as powerful. Then basically a green hag could have babies and the resulting babies would be just weaker green hags because of the dilution of the hag blood. They also had written on the lore that green hags were obsessed with ogres and giants and would constantly romance them, and that the resulting baby from such a union was an anise hag. I don't believe any of this is canon anymore though, but I figured I would bring it up because I personally thought it was very interesting. A type of hag that specializes in confounding their targets, in creating illusions, and basically maybe even infiltrating societies to bring about the destruction of those societies from within is kind of an interesting creature. In any case, I would like to personally thank my Patreon supporters Rukato Fan, Daniel Luna, Dr. Cowbell, Skizio Boy, Major Fail Gaming, Saliog, Barry Maskant, 5E Magic Shop, Doc Feeder, Daniel Umar, Morgan Johnson, Zach Bowell, Simon Holman, Rusty Rain, Biotechnofrag, Kush, Bane, and Mediocre at best for supporting me on Patreon at the $25 level. If you would like to support me as well, then please head on over to patreon.com/MrRhexx to support. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Of course, as always, make sure to watch the playlist so that you can see all of my Dungeons & Dragons videos. They're all as good. Some of them are even better. I promise you. They're all great, though. They're all great. In any case, I will see you all on the next video. Bye-bye.